I used to work with a production company, 88X Unit, and we ended up with a song on the Set It Off soundtrack. Um, and then it was like a string of movies that came out, like Vin Diesel's Man Apart. It was actually called something else because what was cool about it, it was like we would get the VHS tapes
Hmm.
before like the pre-released or whatever,
Yeah.
and
With
then
the numbers on the bottom still
yeah,
moving. Yeah.
so that we can get ideas for songs. And even Set It Off though was so cool because we got to actually the studio we went to had a movie theater in there. So we went and we're in the movie theater. Like Bone was there, and like an R&B act that ended up with a song on there too. So we
Hmm.
all got to preview the movie together. And
Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony.
yeah,
Uh
yeah,
huh.
it was like Lazy and Wish, I think, that were there. And like it was such a dope experience because I was only like 17, 18 at the time,
Mm.
19. Like I was saying earlier about like how I had these little goals. So when I started out, when I first decided I wanted to rap, it was like from all the time at 10 years old. When I was 10 years old, me and my cousin used to stand on the milk crates outside our apartments, and we would have one of us always had a radio, and or the one of the cats who had the nice cars would be in the apartments with his trunk open, just beating whatever. And it was always, surprisingly enough, I mean, we listened to a lot of, I heard a lot of West Coast, like with Toddy T and Mixmaster Spade, Coolio, Dub C,
Mm.
the Math Circle, then eventually NWA and all that or whatever. But a lot of those cats played a lot of East Coast music too. So I was always hearing Rakim, that Paid in Full album, um, Heavy D, gosh, like Kool Moe, like it was just like so it was like a good mixture. And
Hmm.
then K Day was the radio station at the time. It was on AM dial back then, 1580 KDAY, and whatever songs would come on that I knew, I would jump on a milk crate, and now I'm that rapper.
Okay.
And so eventually, because I used to spend a lot of time in the house, and I've always been into writing and reading and making stories and all that. And so eventually, I just started like writing my first rhyme, and I think like the first line was like my. It's funny, I can't remember when I started comedy, but I can remember this first rhyme I wrote at 10, and it was like, my name is Ant Bone and I'm not alone. I got my other two homies on the microphone, and it was just me. I ain't had no two homies. I don't know who they were, but
Imaginary friends.
right. It's like, and you know we're tough. We're not giving up, or something like that. I said,
Hmm.
but it was like that just kind of started it for me. So then as I got older and started understanding, like, oh, okay, they're not necessarily inside the radio. They like actually record. So I'm like, okay, I want to record a song. And my cousin Chuck, rest in peace. I used to record with like a double cassette player and then like another, like, so like basically two radios,
Hmm.
and I'll be in the two radios. The beat's playing on this one, I'm recording on this one, and then I don't know how I knew, but I just know I'm like, it needs to be fuller. I need to have ad libs, and so I would switch to tapes, and like so we basically started recording ourselves off of off of that. And then one time we actually wanted a mic and we didn't have one, and my cousin, again, God rest his soul, man, I miss that guy. He figured out how to rewire a earphone, because the Walkman earphones had the cords. It wasn't no
Hmm.
cord. He figured out how to rewire it, but the thing was we couldn't pick it up to talk into it because the wire would come loose. So we had to lay on our stomachs on the living room floor to record our verses, and we still had the song playing on the radio right here. But then now we had a mic, so we're recording straight into. Yeah, it was wild, man. It was wild. So just from that, I'm like, okay, now I want to record in the studio. Then I end up meeting 88X Unit when I was like
Mm.
16, 17. Got in the studio with them, and they were more so because of what I talked about. I wasn't like, I didn't gang bang, so I didn't talk about gang banging. I
Hmm.
didn't know nothing about selling dope, so I didn't really, I mean, I knew of it, but I didn't, so
Yeah.
I just talked about regular stuff or trying to be positive. And I think they didn't really understand how to market me, or like how to push me at a time in the late
Interesting.
90s, when mid to late
NWA.
90s, when, yeah, when that was the turn, like 91, 92, I would have been popping because that was conscious rap all the way.
Hmm.
But then after 92, 93, then it got more towards the hardcore, what they call gangster rap now.
Hmm.
But in me, it's just all West Coast hip hop. Um, but he liked my pen. He liked that the things that I said. He liked my flow. So he started me writing for a girl group that he had. Then they would go around to all the different middle schools in LA. And I met this dude through a cousin of mine who told me about him. And I had to go to the Sheriff's Activity Center in LA. And I was nervous as heck because I'm like, the sheriff, gotta go to the sheriff's station to meet
Yeah.
this dude. Like, is this the police? Like,
Yeah. Is this
but
undercover?
right. But I mean, but it worked out, and I ended up like he hired me to write songs for the girls and then for him as well.
What was the name of the girls?
They were called Girls in Effects.
Okay.
And they had like a little newsletter. They were They were really popping in the middle schools and high schools
Okay.
back then. It was cool. It was good. It was cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
And it was definitely cool to be a part of. Like, okay, I wrote a song and they're performing my song.
It's like behind the scenes.
Yeah. But the thing was, is like for every song I wrote for them, he would let me record my own song. So it was kind of like, and I was with it because again, I set these little micro goals for myself as I see now, like to say, okay, I want to record a song. Okay, now I want to record in the studio. And I made that opportunity by, networking and working with this guy. And so what happened with the Set It Off thing was I was writing a song for him and another guy. And so the producer of the song, X-Man, he knew he spit his part. He was pretty okay with rapping. So he spit his part that I wrote for him, but the other guy couldn't pull off the flow. So they basically, the demo track that I spit for them to learn the song is what ended up being actually in the movie. So he cut out me on the parts that he rapped, the producer. And so it wasn't even, but that wasn't even in the plan for me to be on the song. I was writing the song for somebody else. And because he couldn't pull it off, he just left my vocal on there because they had a deadline. And
The rest is history.
The rest is history. Yeah.
Ooh,
and so like from there, like it was so like from like 96 until about like 98, 99, had a pretty decent run of getting songs in movies, like even some straight to DVD films or straight to VHS films.
Yeah.
We had some placements in. So I've been like an ASCAP member for a long time.
Cool.
And I mean, business stuff for me wasn't right at the time because I wasn't focused on that, and I was a kid pretty much still, basically.
No guidance.
Right. But then my daughter was born when I was about 20, 21. So then I was like, okay, from that point, I gave myself 4 more years. Like, okay, 4 more years. I've been pursuing this since I was like 16, 17. And I'm 21 at that point. I'm like, so like 4 more years, which would be kind of like the extent of a college education.
Okay.
And then I'm like, I'm going to keep going wholeheartedly at this. And if it pops, it pops. If not, then, I'm moving, I'm just out here and I'm getting a job and, do it when I can. I'm not going to make that the priority. And
was there like an income amount that you needed to make, or was there something that like you had to reach? Like what was that?
It was just more so because I had no education. So I dropped out of high school. So I really didn't have a backup plan, which was fine when all I had to worry about was me. Like somebody, I was respectful and cool enough to where somebody would let me sleep on their couch at least a couple nights out the week. You know what I mean? So, but once my daughter came into it, it was just more so about, okay, I needed to, at least have some type of income coming in to where I can make sure I'm paying bills and all that while I'm at the studio or while I'm over here doing this show. Because if I'm just out here paying dues, which is, fine, and what I was definitely looking forward to doing, but the plan had to change. And so, so I just kind of went to the producer because I did sign a production deal and was just kind of like, hey, you know what I mean? And he told me like, okay, well, we'll do these things and I'll make sure you get this. But then all this time though, I hadn't really received any of my money from Set It Off because I didn't know about royalties and everything until finally, I forgot we were having a conversation about something and I was, and I finally went on my own and signed up for ASCAP and everything and found out that like somebody else was getting my royalties that I was due for that time, but ASCAP, they kind of made it right as much as they could and, and dispersed me some to where it was like, okay, this is cool. However, it's not consistent. It's like one big lump sum
and that's it.
Right,
Shut up.
Right. So,
and you left it alone?
So that was I mean, it was like at that point, I really, what
What's the point?
it?
Yeah.
And I felt like the experience and the knowledge that I gained from doing that, because whenever I would go after working with him and whenever I would go to any other studio, it was like everybody was impressed with the fact that, oh, you came in prepared and you came in, because that's how he wanted it. That's how he trained me to be as far as a recording artist.